Our first topic has to do with the Browns front office, and that is brought to us today by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59, one game, two teams, endless possibilities. There's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether you're predicting the first touchdown, who will take home the MVP trophy, or the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to place your bets and feel the thrill of every moment with live betting all game long. You can jump into the action, adjust your bets, and ride the wave of excitement from kickoff to the final whistle. Plus, make the Super Bowl even sweeter because new customers can score $200 when you make your first bet. Just place a $5 bet, and if you win, you get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/UCSS and bet with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 59. So, guys, any of you could start with this topic if you want. We'll talk more about the Super Bowl later in the week. But in the aftermath of the Myles Garrett trade, and Tyvis and Bull, you guys weren't here yesterday, so you can start your answers with just your kind of thoughts on the Myles Garrett trade. But back in 2020, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski were hired by the Cleveland Browns. They walked into a situation with Baker Mayfield as the starting quarterback. Myles Garrett had already developed into an all-pro caliber player. They had Denzel, they had Bitonio, they had Nick Chubb. And since then, the Browns have one playoff win, a sub-500 record, absolutely no direction at the quarterback position. Nick Chubb is on the way out, or past his prime, and Myles Garrett has now requested a trade. But I asked you this on the phone yesterday. Can you think of a situation where an organization and or a front office, however you want to place the blame, has fumbled the bag as bad as this Cleveland Browns current tenure has since they got here in 2020 to where we currently are today?
Yeah, recently, no. I can't think of a situation equivalent to this. Now, I don't think the Browns in 2020 were in as great a shape as maybe we're making it seem, but they were certainly in way better shape than they are now, and everything's gone negative. I can't, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Obviously, I didn't think Baker was good enough. I still don't think he's good enough to win a Super Bowl with, but he's obviously, at this point in his career, a million times better than anything the Browns have had at quarterback since he has left. And the last 2 years he has played at a good level, which the Browns haven't had anywhere close to that. Everything else has been a disaster. I mean, if Myles Garrett ends up getting traded, that's it. Like, you went 3 seasons where you basically didn't win a game for 3 years to set yourself up. That first year with Kevin Stefanski, it all came together. They win the playoff game. They're competitive with the Chiefs in the conference semifinals. And since then, it's been a total disaster. Now, they did have a good season last year, but I think when we look at it now, we realize that last year was one of those anomaly seasons. It was not a sustainable way to win the way they won last year. They got some breaks and they got some magic, but really, if you look, I go like position group to position group, and I say quarterback couldn't be in worse shape. Running back couldn't be in worse shape. Wide receiver, okay, Jerry Jeudy's nice player, not a superstar, but a good player.
But what else?
I don't know if we have anything else. I think Cedric Tillman's got potential, but we'll see. Tight end, I got a good solid player in Njoku. That's it. My offensive line's all old. My only good player on the defensive line wants to be traded. My only good player at linebacker has an injury that I don't know if he can play. And my best player in the secondary has had 6 concussions in the NFL. So, yes, I mean, where has been the drafting? Where has been the developing? The best player on this team under 25 is Martin Emerson. That's their best player under 25. That's your last 3-4 drafts. They have done a miserable job, Andrew Berry in particular, and it almost feels like yesterday, I wanted Andrew Berry to be fired. Once they decided to keep Stefanski, I was like, all right, they're a team. I guess you don't want to fire him. But I just feel like the way Myles Garrett threw his words, Andrew Berry's that is, right back in his face, to me that should be the final straw. If I'm Jimmy Haslam, I got to seriously think about firing Andrew Berry today because that is humiliating for the organization. For Myles Garrett, like players when they want to be traded, don't put out statements. The guy put out a statement and used Andrew Berry's words against him. What could be more humiliating than that? I think that should be the final straw for Andrew Berry. And yes, the Browns have dropped the bag as bad as any team has in
It was very patronizing, Tyvis.
Yeah.
For Andrew Berry to say he's going to go from Cleveland to Canton, he just skipped over all this man's dreams and aspirations, bro. Just like no playoffs. He could have said, well, he's going to be, listen, we're going to get to the playoffs and we're going to have a long, sustained career with Myles, and we're going to win a lot of playoff games. No, he said, thank you for participating. You're going to go right here. We're going to give you the Joe Thomas package. The no playoff wins, no Super Bowl rings, and we're going to send you to Canton. How's about that, big dog?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, first of all, they shouldn't have said that. Well, I mean, I know why AB said that. Like, yeah.
He meant it in a good way, but I can understand why Myles Garrett took it.
Sounds wild.
Like in AB's mind, he's probably looking at the situation like, yes, have I missed on some draft picks? Yes. Did we miss on the Deshaun Watson thing? Yes. But his job right now is, how am I going to get us out of this? Like, I did this, so I got to get us out of this. I think that's kind of how he's looking at it. And I know that all of this came after Myles said he was going to meet with the higher-ups to see the game plan, and then he'll go from there. And obviously him requesting a trade means that the game plan just wasn't appealing to him. And it was funny because after the season was over, after hearing him talk, I kept telling everybody, I was like, I think he is going to request a trade. I don't think he's going to stay, because when you sit there and you throw out all these scenarios about, we're going to go get this quarterback or we're going to draft this guy, it doesn't, when you look at where the Browns were, because it's not like they were just like close and lost by some field goals and stuff. Like, it was bad. Like, this thing was bad to the point where it was like, you could tell guys was out there like, come on, let's do this and get it over with. Like, it was one of those situations. So I don't think going to get just a quarterback or switching some coaches on the staff, that's going to bring everything back. Because it goes back to what you said. Not this past season, but 2 years ago when they had the successful season, there was a lot of, they had some guys miss field goals. They had some calls go their way. It was a way that, like you said, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were coming in there game in, game out, better than everybody. It wasn't that. There was some games that they looked dominant, but it was a lot of games where it's like, all right, they got this PI call, or they got that holding call, or he missed that game-winning field goal. It was one of those things. So I think the Browns truly looked at it like, oh, we're there, we're close. And I think that they really weren't. And on top of that, some guys regressed this season. That's what it is. Some guys took a step back when you thought that they would take a step forward. But ultimately, when you look at where they're at now, it ultimately comes down to the fact that you did not hit on them draft picks. You did not develop the right guys. Because if you look around the league, there's always guys that you hear about them. They get a little spark. We got this little third-round pick. We got this fifth-round pick. He wasn't starting the season, but he's come in and he's made some plays. Like, the Browns don't have – a lot of the times it's undrafted guys. Diabate, Ronnie Hickman. You got guys that's undrafted that comes in and do noise, but you're missing on the guys that you're supposed to be picking in the draft. Yeah, now granted, it's the third through seventh round, but still, they're still talented individuals, and you're just not seeing it. And the replacement for all the stars that you named for the old offensive line, the Zach Zenters, he didn't look great. You didn't get a running back to replace a Nick Chubb, knowing that Nick Chubb was coming off of this injury and he wasn't going to be the same. DTR, you had him as your fifth best quarterback coming out that draft. He didn't look good. Like, you just constantly miss.
Yeah. And now Jerry Jeudy really just replaced what you were getting from Amari Cooper, basically.
Yeah, so it's like you miss so much that it's finally catching up to you to where now you're in a situation to where it's like, you have no choice but to hit on draft picks, because you can't go out and just throw money at the situation, because you blew that with the quarterback situation. So now you have to hit on draft picks, the one thing that you haven't been particularly good at, if you want to rebuild this thing. And that's why fans is all like, I don't see it, like, because you just don't have a good track history, and that's and so you want to trade Myles, and everybody, you're gonna get 2 1s, and it's like the last 2 first-round picks he's had is.
You ain't do nothing
Jed
with
Wills
them.
and Greg Newsome,
Yeah,
they're
it's like,
You didn't do nothing.
lower tier starters.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I see why the fan base is where they are with this whole situation, and I see why Myles is where you are. Like, listen, I made money. I'm gonna be fine. I got money. I got endorsements. I'm good. I want to do something that I have not done, and that's win Super. I want to play meaningful football. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of coming in here DPOY. I wanted DPOY. I got DPOY. There's nothing left for me to do. I got the 100 sacks. There's absolutely nothing left for me to do but to play in a Super Bowl. And right now with the Browns situation, there's no situation that they can stir up that makes it look like they're going to be in a Super Bowl.
You know what's funny is when you say that he wants to play in the Super Bowl, I thought about Aaron Donald. And obviously it was against my team, so that's a factor.
Aaron Donald went
but the
nuts.
first thing I think of with Aaron Donald is him making that fourth down play, sacking Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl, that won them the game.
But
I'm convinced.
he had played in another one before that.
I know that. I'm just saying this is what stands out to me. Obviously, part of it's because of the Bengals. But
Yeah.
I remember that play because he doesn't. Joe Burrow's 2 more seconds. The Bengals probably win the Super Bowl.
Chase had
coming
Jalen
over.
Ramsey burnt by 2 yards.
Don't take.
And that's it. And I'll always remember that. And
And the crazy thing is, like you think about just as of the past 10 years, you think about pass rushers like a Von Miller. Remember Von Miller against Cam Newton? Changed the game.
That's right.
It was nothing they could do to stop Von Miller. Aaron Donald against the Bengals changed the game. It was no answer. Myles is of the same caliber, and we've never seen him on that stage. And it's ridiculous.
And there's very few D linemen that have that kind of ability.
Right.
That's a special. There's not like 20 guys in the league. No, there's like 1 or 2 maybe.
Like I want to see Myles in the setting where like, bro, this is literally for the championship.
Yeah.
Like I know what you do in games. I know how you've changed games. But like when you know like the ring is on the line, like if I have a dominant game, we're gonna win this game. Like, and there's nothing after this. This is it. I want to see how hard he actually goes.
Let me ask you guys this real quick. When you think of Aaron Donald, I think we're all going to have the same answer, and I'm making a point here.
Yeah.
When you think of, hey, what's the Aaron Donald moment? It's the Joe Burrow play, right? It's the Super Bowl. It's the 4th. If someone asked 1,000 Browns fans, what's the Myles Garrett game? What do you think the answer is?
He done had so many of them.
That's my point. But they're all regular season.
Yeah. You know, a lot of non-Browns fans would say the
helmet.
Mason Rudolph
Yeah,
thing.
but that's I'm just saying that's not count. But he's had these games where he's had 4 sacks against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, sure.
September.
Indianapolis, where he
jumped over the field goal.
Yeah.
He's had Philadelphia this year when he blocked. Like, he's had these incredible individual.
He's had a lot of good games against the Bengals.
But because they've all come in September, October, November with not a ton of meaning behind it, there's not that one standout moment.
That's right.
That kind of solidifies his legacy. And to Tyvis's point, we were talking about this before the show, when he said, I don't want to be part of a rebuild, Myles is in the category of pass rushers, of defensive players that are on the legit Mount Rushmore of could be greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And to be on that list and to be considered alongside the Lawrence Taylors, the Reggie Whites, et cetera, you have to do it in the playoffs. And I guess whatever Andrew Berry said, this is our future plan at quarterback for the team, Myles said, I don't see it getting to it.
Well, let's be fair. There was nothing Andrew Berry could say that was going to make Myles think this team was going to be a Super Bowl contender next year.
No, that's why I said it was over. When he said that statement, it's over.
You said, here's the problem is you don't lose your ability to make things happen in that one moment. You take a series of L's over 5 years. Little L's, it didn't lead to a big L. Now, I'm going to give you this, right? If you look at all the people they brought in, I always tell people, man, when you start to hear enough people say certain things, pay attention to it. This is Zadarius Smith. It was just taking too long, man. Smith told a reporter with a laugh. It was taking too long, but obviously after they got it done, I was excited, man. Sorry for the fans that was thinking otherwise, but like I said, I'm happy to be here, happy to be with this football team and winning. Amari Cooper said
that was when he left.
When he left.
Okay. Yeah.
Amari Cooper said it was the first time in a long time I felt the joy of winning a game, and they had went to the playoffs just the year before, prior. Let's talk about this. Oh, man, listen. This guy says, The Browns was trying to get Myles Garrett to the Hall of Fame. He said he needed to be around somebody that believes in his ability.
That's Davian Clowney.
That's Clowney. When Odell Beckham Jr. left, he had a problem. When Jarvis Landry said, "Man, what is we doing? We can't throw the ball. What's going on with our plan?" We talking about that. Jed Wills, he's talking out of turn. He talk about it's a business decision. You got all of these people. Not to mention, we just talked about Juan Thornhill. This is a lack of institutional power and control. Every person that comes out says, "Oh, this ain't it." This is just not one person. This is people that they've signed as free agents that get here that say these exact same things. So if you ask how bad did they fumble the bag, they fumbled it greatly. They were given a team that had draft picks, a quarterback that was coming off a rookie season, which he had broke the rookie record. They had Nick Chubb at his prime. They had a top 5 offensive line. They had one of the best pass rushers in the game, a lockdown corner in Denzel Ward.
Was Odell here when?
Yes, he was here.
Yeah.
They had him. They had all of these pieces and parts. And you know what the number one thing that's been floated around and the number one theme is? Kevin Stefanski does not foster relationships with players. Name me one big name player that he did not have some sort of tiff with.
Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb don't talk. That's Nick Chubb. That's Chubb. We'll give him that. But here's the thing. Jason Lloyd just sat up here and said Baker wouldn't even return their phone calls.
Yes.
Obviously, we know what happened with Odell.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett multiple times says, you know what, we ain't making a play.
I got another one.
Who?
Denzel Ward.
There's a lot of players that like
Bucks.
Kevin Stefanski. I don't know if all these tiffs are with Kevin Stefanski.
Why not?
Specifically.
What do you mean?
We Buckeyes don't throw.
When Myles Garrett says the coaches didn't make adjustment, who is he talking to?
That's fair.
I mean, if he's talking about defense, he's not talking.
We don't
know exactly what he's talking
Kevin
about.
Kevin Stefanski's the head coach.
But it falls under Stefanski
responsibility.
no matter how you look at it.
Listen, there's clearly a case that Kevin Stefanski should be fired. There's no doubt about it.
Well, you can't jump back over the fence.
I'm not. But I've clearly gone back and forth on it because I'm not sure about it.
That's why you got to be like me.
That's all.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying. There is clearly a case that both Andrew Berry, to me, Berry more than Stefanski, but still, there's clearly a case that both should be fired.
How does that make you feel, though? Like, as an organization, we're sitting here, we're happier to have these two front office guys than all the players that left? We're excited about this.
No, I don't think anybody's excited about that.
So, what I'm saying is, you got the sad part is we named all of the stuff we had.
Yeah.
We going into this year, and the only thing left is the GM and the coach? What? Listen, when LeBron leave, the coach got to go. When Luka, we are left with Stefanski and Barry. And you know the plan was looking.
My boy Paul DePodesta.
And we was looking, and you know what kind of plan that he had to show that man for him to write a 6-page letter? Like it was Aaliyah. Yeah. I'm writing you a 4-page.
And by the way,
letter.
I've heard a few people.
I close it with a kiss. You know how trash that gotta be.
That was smoochy. That was
good.
Smooth.
I have heard a few people say, "Well, Myles Garrett's just doing this because he wants more money,"
No.
which I guess is possible. But here's why I don't believe that at all. Because the only thing the Browns do well
is pay
under Jimmy
is
pay people. So if Myles Garrett said to them, "You're going to make me the highest paid defensive end in the history of football by a lot," Jimmy Haslam would have said yes, in my opinion. So I don't think this is a negotiating ploy. And the fact that Andrew Berry has known that Myles wanted out and then said last week publicly he wasn't going to trade him, that probably pissed Myles off. And that's probably why. I wonder if Andrew Berry had not answered the question. Let's say when he was asked about Myles Garrett, he would have just given a non-answer like he does on most things. I wonder if Myles, if that were the case, would not have made this public. I mean, we'll never know. But maybe the reason he made it public is because he was pissed that Barry made those comments last week.
The pettiness.
Because clearly he was pissed because he used his words. Yeah. That pissed him off.
Yeah. We've all been in positions where we've worked for companies or we've worked at different places, and you toe the company line. You feel like you've put into the company. You feel like you've sacrificed. You feel like you've done all those things. Yeah. But then when it comes time for them to show and prove to you, that you invest in me and that we are invested in winning or moving this thing forward, all of a sudden it's reservations. All of a sudden it ain't a coach plan. What happens to all them plans when I was showing up on nights and weekends?
That's right.
And every shift that you asked me to take, I took. And then
Is
now
this personal?
This sounds personal.
Does it sound like
It does sound personal.
I mean, I remember what happened to all them holidays. I
hear
don't,
that.
you know what I'm saying? Maybe you need a couple of concessions. Maybe something going on in your family life where you might need a little something, some understanding, bull. And they didn't have no understanding when you had put in. I'm just saying.
Maybe the pay for part-time work shouldn't be minimum wage. I don't know.
Maybe I should have to work at KFC and do that. I'm just saying.
That's it. I'm saying that too.
That's the American dream right there.
So
the question is, do I work at KFC? Do I get free food? Because I want free food if I'm working at KFC.
So when all these things happen, the emotions come out because you be like, I've been here through the thick and thin. I went through 1 and 30. I was here, bro. And then the fact that you're gonna brush me aside, like, oh, it's gonna take 3 to 5 more years, man. Listen,
3 to 5.
Man, I'll tell you what. My grandfather told me this, and it hurt my heart because back in the day, my grandfather worked. He was a sharecropper. Then he worked in a steel mill, and he worked in them steel mills his whole life. He had some steel fall in his leg. He had to walk with a cane after that. And on his last day, you know what I'm saying, when he got done retiring, he thought that he was going to get what everybody else got, that gold watch and good work. They gave him nothing. The guy called him and said, hey, called him back later, said, hey, did you happen to turn in those boots we lent you? And this is the point. When you are doing something and you are in a position that you put your life into this thing, right? You put your best years into the organization. And the cold reality is, in 5 minutes, they won't even remember you there. In 6 minutes, they'll forget you even worked. And in 7 minutes, they on to a whole new agenda.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, Myles Garrett has to say, do I want to be known as a winner, or do I want to go out as a person that gave all my best years to somebody that didn't put the same energy and effort and time into winning as I did?